And I looked up and I was like, oh my goodness, I have these employees and business coming in, and someone sent us another referral, and I'm like, this is amazing. And I think back to when I was terrified to take that first step.
Yeah.
And then you took another step, and then all of a sudden it's a really, really awesome. The key is don't give up.
Yeah.
And keep envisioning what you want, how you want your life to be, write it down, put forth the taskers, and then just do a tiny little baby step towards that goal each and every day.
I'm Dana White, founder and host of One Real Story, the podcast and book series where we provide entrepreneurs with practical advice through the voices of successful entrepreneurs. If you're a veteran, aspiring, or even an established entrepreneur, this show is for you. As always, I'm coming to you live from the Voice Hub production studio in Indy, Atlantic, Florida. Now, if you're either a business or working towards entrepreneurship, proper planning is key in many ways more than one. Our special guest today will tell you all about it. She's an attorney and the owner of the law office of Jessica Lynn Silva, also known as Jessica Lynn Law. Her areas of expertise is with estate planning, wills, trust, probate administration, and trust administration. In addition, she's a Florida Supreme Court certified county mediator. She has a vast knowledge from working in roles such as civil litigation and real estate paralegal, mortgage loan officer, real estate investor, and much, much more. She grew up traveling the United States and overseas as a daughter of a military family and continued when she married her husband, which is now a retired Air Force officer. My networking buddy and friend, Jessica Lynn Silva.
Hi, Dana. It's so great to be here with you tonight. I appreciate the opportunity.
I'm glad to have you. Yeah. Look, how do you like everything around here at the Voice Hub?
I'm loving it. Super impressed and very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of you as well.
Thanks.
So, Jess, we're going to get right into it. All right. So, how was your experience growing up in the military family?
Okay. As a daughter of the military family, you get to experience the world whether you like it or not. So, you learn to adapt. That's one of probably the first things that comes to mind, because right when you're getting settled, especially as a child, and you make your friends and you think you move on and you're going to up and pack and start over all at a new place. So on top of starting to adapt, you learn to be friendly. So every new place you go to, you're a lot more approachable. Even if you're shy, as I was, you learn to try to outgrow that really fast.
You shy?
Oh my gosh. I was the type of shy that walked into a room and begged someone to just look nice enough or smile at me and look welcoming.
Really?
Yes, very much.
Yeah, same here.
Yes.
So, moving around a lot, that kind of made you either stay to yourself or to where you, let's see here, where you learn to adapt and overcome, right?
I did. I'm the oldest. I have 3 brothers. But being that I was the oldest, I'm also pretty much the responsible one. So I was a little bit like the mother hen. They loved me and hated me equally. But I was also a bookworm. I was kind of your nerdy teenager and child growing up. Yes. Frizzy, curly hair. Didn't know what hair gel was. Loved my books. I would go to the library and probably check out about 30 to 35, whatever the max was. I'd take it home and I would read for hours.
Wow.
So, yes. So I enjoyed it. I was always a big dreamer, and I always loved places. So everywhere we'd go, I would just try to find something I liked about the new place.
So what places did you go to overseas that you lived in?
We lived in Germany. So we came back from Germany when I was 7, and we ended up in Georgia. My dad was out at Warner Robins Air Force Base after that. And so that's what I consider home, because that is where I still have childhood friends that I'm friends with to this day. And those are some of my best childhood memories.
So that was a big change then, coming from Germany. I mean, when you're a little kid, but you've been in Georgia since 7 years old. Where's your accent?
I know, right? Some think I have it and some don't. But in Germany, one of the keys that I still remember to this day was Frau Neitzke, a neighbor, and she'd make German dishes, the way they celebrate birthdays, and that my little friend, I remember the day we would always jump rope, and she spoke no English, and I spoke hardly any German, but yet we would play all day, every day. So it's just funny how the human nature, if you want to and you strive to, you can really adapt to any situation and make the best of any situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what inspired you to become an attorney?
Ever since I was little, I wanted to be an attorney. And then I got obsessed with the JAG show, the show JAG, that is all about JAG officers in the military, where they're attorneys for the military. But being married to a military officer myself and then growing up, we have 3 children together. And my husband was very big on he didn't want 2 active duty military parents raising the kids. So I kind of took a back seat to that. So it was one of those, as time passed, I thought it was just a dream that was never going to actually come to fruition. And then there reached a time that God opened the doors and opportunities aligned, and it was amazing.
So with 3 kids and, were you young going to college to be an attorney, or were you a full adult?
I was a full adult when I did law school, but I was a mom starting at the age of 18. So I did. So I was already a mom at 18. I have 4 actual degrees. So I have my doctorate and my law degree, but then I also have a master's and 2 undergrads. So I always joke and say I dabbled in careers as I followed my husband in his military career. So every assignment, I would buy us a house, I'd buy a rental property and rent it out to tenants or flip it or remodel it. And then I would go to school and get another college degree. When you're a military spouse, you have to learn what are your own interests, or you will go starking mad just waiting for your husband, who deploys a lot, to ever be home. So you're either going to want to leave him, you're going to be crying all the time and frustrated and sad, or you're going to learn to adapt and start living life.
Yeah, that's a little tough, but you made the best of it, though.
Not from the beginning. I learned. Like I said, you learn to adapt. So I went through the cycles almost of what I think the cycles of grief are, where first everything I missed in life was all his fault. And then it was sad that he was never home. And then it was anger. And then you come to peace with it and you realize you're best friends and this is the life that we both chose together. And then you just start carving out niches that you can each move forward as a team.
So, with school, do you consider yourself like a professional student?
I've always loved learning. Again, I think it stems back to the reading of books. I've just always enjoyed it. From the time I was little, I homeschooled the first 10 years of my life, or the first 10 grades. And my mom said I taught myself to read at age 4 and never stopped. So it's just, to me, it's an adventure. I'm actually, ironically, the only one in my family that loves to read. So that was a little disappointing, because in my head, I pictured all of our children, my husband and I, by a fireplace, all reading books. No, I'm the only one that's a reader. But it's still, from there, it's just, it opens up doors of opportunities, and knowledge is power. So I enjoy it.
So you would, I guess, what you would co-sign on kids going to college, because some people don't feel like college should be.
I think it's a case-by-case basis. I personally have 4 degrees, but I also think our school system could use a lot of editing and work. I think a lot of our school system has killed our kids' love for learning, and I think that's heartbreaking. Because learning should be exciting and fun and something you wake up and want to do. You naturally gravitate to the area of interest, and I think you should expand upon that. My personal opinion is math and English are the 2 subjects you need to excel in no matter what, because you will.
I agree.
You need to know how to add, subtract, keep a budget, divide. It will help you. And you need to know how to read and write and speak eloquently and write papers, because you will just naturally need to do that in business and life, everything. Other than that, I think it's extra icing on the cake, and I think it causes a lot of overwhelm, and it's unnecessary. So my 3 children, my only requirement is that you're pursuing either military, pursuing a career, or pursuing going to college, but I'm not going to fold you into any of those, because I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship does not need degrees.
Yeah, I agree. However, I do think that sometimes, because I wasn't a big school person, I played ball, and that's what kind of helped me get through. But when I did go to technical school after completing the drafting program in high school, I realized that in order to make more money, I had to go to college. And I just chose to use college as a way to make me more well-rounded.
Exactly. I always say I check the boxes. I have the heart of an entrepreneur. However, I still know society likes to see that you're successful in the traditional sense of success. So I try to satisfy all the masters. So I've got the college degrees, the other opportunities, but at the heart, the thing that makes me totally excited and happy is entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Learning on the job, right?
Yes, on the job training.
So as an attorney, right, why did you choose the areas of law that your firm practices now?
We practice primarily in estate planning and probate. And when I see it almost like as a community involvement and giving back to your community, because with the estate planning, I'm helping all these families or individuals set themselves up for success, being why they're alive and they become incapacitated, or being after they pass and all of the wealth that they've built going to who it is they want to go to and protecting it from creditors when circumstances allow. And then probate is the process of actually when someone passes away and making sure the will is followed according to how it should be, or if there's a trust, and it's called a trust administration. So all of those things are hand-holding either the person or the beneficiaries or some other throughout the entire process at a time when they're grieving and overwhelmed and have no idea how to navigate the court system.
Yeah. And you seem like you are the subject matter expert that I would come to.
I hope so, please.
So, it's not really so much of a laughing matter, right? Because how much you help families prepare for those unfortunate situations could save a lifetime of heartache.
Absolutely. If you told me any scenario, I could sit here all day and tell you a horror story that could have been avoided by having an opportunity and just a consultation. Even if you don't go farther than a consultation with an attorney, you'll still walk away. If you're with the right one, you'll walk away with a wealth of information and helpful tips, being as if that's as far as you take it or if the time's not right.
So at what point should, say, an entrepreneur or a regular person seek your advice?
As soon as you turn 18. Anyone 18 and over should have an estate plan. And the most common thing I hear is, I don't have any assets worth protecting. And I can tell you that you're wrong. Even a homeless person has some assets sitting in their buggy or on their back. Now, then the key comes into what is the amount and worth of all those assets? And is it worth going through the whole entire probate process? Did you protect them wisely? Are there creditors waiting? There's all these different strategies that have to be looked into at that time, but you really boil it back to every single individual needs an estate plan once they reach of 18. Because not only you're dealing with assets after the passing, you're dealing with things that you go to Colorado skiing and get in an accident, or you're in a car accident here in Brevard and something upends your entire life, you're in a coma, and life comes to a halt unless you have power of attorneys in place where someone you trust can keep your life moving. And when you wake up, your life is as it should be instead of your life being totally just at a standstill or other things have happened.
Awesome. So that's like added to the list of responsibilities as an adult. This is something that you should be teaching your kids, right?
Very much. And it's really reasonable and affordable. It's not that big of a deal. It literally, I try to tell my ladies especially, the price you'd pay to go 1 or 2 appointments to the hairdresser, you'd have your whole estate plan in place. And they laugh, but that's where it hits home to them of exactly how reasonable and painless this process is.
And so when you say like estate plan, right, it doesn't just mean your property or home that you own.
Nope. In my estate plans, a wise estate plan is going to include your last will and testament or a trust, different circumstances guarantee your trust, durable power of attorney, a healthcare surrogate, and a living will. And then some of my older clients, we go into getting them also a pre-need guardian to avoid guardianship issues later. And then we also sometimes will consider ladybird deeds for different circumstances and things like that. But they all come. In my firm, I'm very big on being transparent and serving the client. So we just charge one flat fee, and you can talk to me as much as you want, as little as you want, all of your documents. Like, I'm very clear. And we just keep it where it's very reasonably priced and approachable for the clients.
Pretty awesome.
Because the goal is to help them.
Yeah.
Of course, we're in business, so everybody needs to make money. I have staff, but the point is to help you set yourself up and to help the court later when they need to speak on your behalf, let them know what your wishes are. And the only time you're able to do that is while you're alive and mentally competent.
Yeah, that makes a difference. That makes a difference. I mean, because my mom passed away and I had to deal with, back in 2013, but I had to deal with all of her, because she didn't have a will.
Oh, so intestacy statutes apply. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's where you'll go into it. And there's one that I had to do where there was intestacy that applied, and they thought that they only had one child, and it turns out that he actually had numerous children, and some had terminated the parental rights and some did not. So we had a PI involved, and we had to make sure everything passed appropriately. There was a person that ended up owning a portion of the home that they didn't expect. So, I mean, every single thing.
That's a big deal.
It is. And it's all, I have other sad scenarios where two ladies, they owned a home together, and they had their home as tenants in common, which means you each own a 50% interest instead of joint tenants with right to survivorship. Yeah. And they had no will. Because of that, it now passes, and we have to go hunt and locate any heirs for this person. And then if you absolutely cannot find any heirs, it would escheat to the state. So this poor little old lady would own half a house with the state of Florida, and she'd have to buy them out of their own house.
Wow.
That's a worst case scenario. You'll do a due diligence, heir search, PIs, everyone involved, and try to find at least a distant relative within. But even the distant relative, when they inherit a half of a home, they might not want to give it up willingly. So you will then have to buy them out. All of that could have been avoided two ways. Say joint tenants of rights or survivorship on title, or leave a will where you left it to your roommate. Those two ways would have avoided everything else.
And that's why I like you, because you're sharp.
Sorry, thanks, Dana.
So, how can anyone do you serve just only Florida? Or
I am licensed in the state of Florida, so I can cover all across the state of Florida, and I do. I'm always doing multiple counties. Primarily, I will do Pinellas and Hillsborough and Pasco, Orange County and Brevard and all of Seminole, all of those type counties. But I can go anywhere across the state of Florida.
Okay. And then if someone was out of the area but they preferred to reach out to you, is it you have a wide network that you could kind of refer them to someone possibly in their area?
Yeah. There's a lot of times where people will own properties across several states. So wherever they were domiciled and lived and were a resident, that's where we call the primary probate administration. So they'll find an attorney such as myself for Florida, if we're their primary residents, and say they also owned homes in Texas and Arkansas. Right. We would then have to go find attorneys in those states to do what's called an ancillary administration. Okay. So yes, we do have different networks and communities. I actually have a lot of times where my clients don't live in Florida, but they're probating a Florida estate. And so I'm always handling beneficiaries or personal representatives that don't live here, but we're dealing with assets that are in Florida.
Nice. So, Jesse, you basically started your own firm, so you considered like an entrepreneur.
Yes, a year and a half ago.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Doing a good job.
And I was absolutely terrified the first step. But aren't all entrepreneurs our first step?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I know I was. So, what are some lessons learned that you have from being raised in a military family that helps you with your entrepreneurship journey today?
One is you build relationships everywhere you go. You're always kind. You're always approachable. You keep people's secrets. You keep your word, and you plan. So I'm a really big dreamer, but dreams without actually writing down steps of action and planning, then they're just going to stay dreams. And I prefer to turn them into goals and then to achieve those goals.
Nice.
So that's kind of where I'm a big person. I have, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Miracle Morning, but I think it's Hal Elrod. He has a version where you can do it in 6 minutes or 60 minutes, but you go through this cycle of just like envisioning and then a short podcast or a little book or a chapter, and then just different. It's just a quick way to start your day and set your mindset right. And I'm a big person in vision boards as well. So I have things, I just like to surround myself with what it is that keeps me centered and focused, which for me personally is also always prayer. And my husband is I tell him he's my compass. So if anything ever happens, arises good or bad, before I overreact, I throw it off of him, then gauge whether I should be overreacting or not.
No, that's good, though, because you have to have a strong support system, especially in entrepreneurship. I mean, we had this discussion in regards to how much time it takes Like there's 24 hours in a day.
Yes.
And then
and our high highs and low lows. Yes.
You know, we may be working 20 hours out of the day.
Yes.
You know,
very much. They say entrepreneurship's the only place that you work 80 hours for yourself, so you don't work 40 hours for someone else. Yes.
Yeah. But you do that for a short period of time so you could have a better
it goes
better
back
lifestyle.
to, it's really back to just the simple, kind rules and common sense. Be nice to people. Yeah. And always, before you even do an ask or anything, build relationships. Show kindness. Yeah. What can you contribute? You're contributing to your community and your neighbors and your friends. So it's really not that difficult when you boil down to it. I think that's where my mediator hat kicks in, even more than my attorney hat, is I'm always looking for the win-win. I don't like a winner and a loser. Yeah. I actually would prefer that. Now, if you try to push me, I can become a totally different Jess, and I can hold my own. But I always like to start off with the win-win approach. And how it is this where we all walk away happy and satisfied.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of work because business is a dirty game.
It can be, but then it also can be awesome.
Absolutely, yes. Right? But,
mm-hmm.
you know, the dark side of it is that, unfortunately, people are greedy. And people are out for themselves. But I think, you know, to caveat on to what you're saying is you surround yourself with those individuals who want to help each other, right? And for example, you and I. This is the reason why we're sitting here today.
Yes,
is because
absolutely.
We're strong networking partners.
Yes,
you know, and
very
friends.
much. Yes, very much. And we both have wonderful people in our circle and networks that we know and we introduce to each other. And I love that. I think it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the whole bartering system in the olden days. Everyone had a different strength and you offered your strength in a neat time when someone else needed it. And it worked wonderfully. I think there's a lot we can learn from history.
Yeah. And you're blazing a trail. Sometimes I look at you and I'm like, all right, Dana, got to kick up, you know?
That's awesome.
So you were giving some sort of advice pretty much to aspiring entrepreneurs. Like, is there anything else that you would be able to give?
I think it's pretty much, you're going to always have so many loud voices in your head and around you and everyone's opinions. Trust your own voice. And that's where it's so important to take that few minutes, either every morning or every evening, depending on what kind of person you are, and just think about it. Close your eyes, envision how you want your life to be. Mm-hmm. Start writing down steps it's going to take to get there, even when they seem unachievable. It's amazing how anything is truly possible. And they say that, and sometimes they say it tongue in cheek, but it truly is almost anything is possible. Now, once you put that into vision and write it, you might realize the steps it's going to take are not what you're willing to do. So even though it was possible, it's not the path you want. But I just think, so envision how you want your life and then decide from there what is the most important. And then make sure you write down your list of tasks or prepare for your day. So every day before, write down your top 3 things that must happen the following day. So that way you at least have some small mini goals accomplished. You're one step closer and you have that feeling of satisfaction, because there's nothing worse than feeling like your whole day was wasted and you were unproductive and absolutely nothing occurred. And then you just beat yourself up all night over it. I personally like to tackle the thing that's most intimidating or I don't want to do. I like to get it out of the way because otherwise it will haunt me. Yes. And then it frees me up to do everything else because I'll feel so excited that I got that out of the way that it's like a motivational landslide and it rolls. But so that's me personally. Other than that, I'm very big into podcasts and books. So I always have to be surrounding myself with positive words of motivation, hearing from other people that have gone ahead of me. We live in a time where it's amazing. These podcasts are like free mentorship all the time.
Absolutely.
So there really is no excuse to not just try it and to just feed into yourself. Even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, you're just a better person and you're more confident and more happy. And confidence is sexy.
Yeah. Yes. Right?
Yes.
So also, you're going to be in our book, One Real Story.
Yes, I am. I'm so excited.
Series, right?
Yes.
So you can hear more from Jess in the book and get more information and details to learn about her.
Yay.
So, you know, can you share some of your experiences as working as a mediator?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So in addition to being an attorney, I'm also a mediator. Florida Supreme Court certified for the county portion. I'll do a lot. I can do private mediation. I do for several arenas. You can do county, civil, circuit. and also family. I will tell you, those family cases can get super, super litigious. I can mediate a case of multi-million-dollar money, and they'll be more civil than a couple divorcing, and I need deputies outside each door, and there's screaming matches going on. Yeah, so mediation is an awesome, awesome, awesome concept. It's very much in just before everything gets nasty into the trials, and there's a winner and a loser. It's your chance to try to see if you can set aside any differences and come to an agreement and just work things out among yourselves. And not only do you kind of reach resolutions many times, but you salvage relationships. And so it's really fun. It's kind of getting to be an opportunity. So I do that. I do it at the courthouse for several just for small claims court, and then I also do private mediation. Right now, our estate planning and probate clients have been wonderful, and we've been very, very busy with those. So mediation, lately I've been actually referring a little bit of it out, but as time passes, then we'll start taking back on more. So
you were drawn to that because of the justice system, the laws, like
mediation?
Yeah.
I love the win-win. Yeah. I love the not crucifying one over the other. Just sometimes it's as simple as allowing each person 5 minutes to feel heard. And sometimes they're seeking money. Yeah. Sometimes they're just seeking an apology for you to literally say, okay, this actually was some of my fault, and I'm sorry for that. And that's all they want. Like, that's it. They'll leave thousands of dollars on the table just because you said you're sorry. Yeah. So you see a lot of the family dynamics. My master's is in executive leadership counseling, so that's where I start to see a lot of those personality psychology classes that really comes into play. Yes.
I remember some of those.
Yes. I love them. They're fascinating.
Yeah. I took all the college, like sociology, psychology,
yes.
Philosophy. I love the study of
it helps very much. And then you start to recognize and see those traits in people in everyday life.
Yeah. I mean, it helps you, I guess, determine a person's true initiatives or their drive or how they intentions.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I also love the personality test. If you ever can get people to take those are very fascinating. I mean, our friends groups and things like that, our besties will sometimes take personalities. And there's a couple of my past employers that when I'd went to apply or interview, they had you sit down and take personality tests. And I think it's awesome. I think it's a great, great, great strategy.
We had to do it in the military.
Yes.
Times.
Good.
Yeah, NCO.
Yes. That's awesome. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for your husband's service. Thank you for your dad's service.
And our oldest is Navy.
Oh, congratulations.
He's been in 5 years.
Yeah, you did
our 23-year-old. And our 18-year-old is going Coast Guard.
EOD, right?
He's a gunner's mate.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Nice. So, on your entrepreneurship journey, there are some ups and there are some downs.
Always.
So what are some of your biggest challenges and how did you overcome them?
Let's see. Challenges. Well, I think one is fear of success. I had a friend tell me once that just every time you start to get super successful, it's almost like you psych yourself out and you try to damage it on purpose. And that really stuck with me. I didn't even realize I was subtly doing that. I think it was the expectation that once you're successful, people will expect you to continue to do that or build upon it. And then you're just like, okay, maybe I don't want to be part of this game anymore. And you're scared. The other is it falls back to just being shy or was shy. I won't claim it anymore. But however, I still, when I speak or have to stand in front of people or go into a new environment, you get those butterflies, that nervous feeling that it's not like going to Disney World. So I think you're always just having to, and they always say you're your own worst critic. So I think that falls back on why I'm always doing the positive motivation, the words, the sayings, like you're always having to put something in your mind that combats your own tearing down.
I think that's really profound though, right?
Yes.
Your own success, that you are damaging it. I think that I'm a culprit of that. At the same time, we spoke about it before. And I was like, oh, that's what it is?
There's a big name that says you literally have to get out of your own way. And it's true, and people don't realize it. We constantly, and I think when the light bulb goes off, that's half the battle. Half the battle is realizing who you want to be out of life and what truly brings you joy, because success is different for every individual. What you define as success and what I define as success could be two totally different things. And I encountered that in law school. There were some that they wanted to climb the corporate ladder, become partners in big firms, go places. I didn't. I was older when I went to law school. I already had 3 children, a husband, married, lived life. I no longer wanted to climb the corporate ladder and do that game. My success was just trying to seek to be debt-free, doing things and be able to help communities and be able to just start giving back. So I think I didn't have to drive the Lamborghini, although I would not decline the opportunity.
You wouldn't mind riding in the Lamborghini?
Oh, no, I don't mind owning it either. We're just not there yet.
What color?
Burnt orange is nice.
That's a nice one.
Even the 2020 Corvette, it would be a nice, interim car for right now.
I would love to see that day.
Yes.
I would love to see that day. And let me know because I'll get mine.
Okay.
So,
yeah, apparently Corvette, it's the hottest ticket this year. So right when I said that was going to be my new car and started putting steps in place to go get it, I found out it's like the top car this year. And people are paying up to $20,000 over sticker price. And then, the business in us comes back out in our ROI and we're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, right. But so that's a great point that you brought up. You said you make steps. So that's a cool thing because I can say that since this whole entrepreneurship journey that I've been on, it's simple math. Right? Mm-hmm. And you just do 1 + 1, take care of your client, and then you just build up.
Yes.
And then you look up and it's like, wow, I'm at a number where I didn't think that it was as achievable, but you just knew if you put your head down and worked, then these are where it's simple.
Everything seems impossible at the beginning. I had that moment the other day, actually, when I had 3 people working in my office and they were all working, doing their different tasks. And I looked up and I was like, oh my goodness, I have these employees and business coming in and someone sent us another referral. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I think back to when I was terrified to take that first step. Yeah. And then you took another step. And then all of a sudden, it's a really, really awesome. The key is don't give up.
Yeah.
And keep envisioning what you want, how you want your life to be. Write it down, put the taskers, and then just do a tiny little baby step towards that goal each and every day.
Absolutely. I love it because, I think, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals help each other and empower us to stay on a certain level and continue fueling. Say, hey, come on, let's pick it up. Pick up the pace,
Oh, we all have our days we want to crawl under the covers and binge watch Netflix all day long. And that is where truly we help each other and remind each other, motivate each other very, very much. My mom, she gets the credit for that because all the way back as a kid, she would chastise my friend choices or constantly nitpick me. And she'd be like, Jessie, you become like your friends. So you become who you hang around, Jessie. And so that always stuck with me. And it is. So who you surround yourself with, you should be nice to everyone. That's always important to me. But who is in your close circle and who's your confidant, who you take guidance and wisdom from, that needs to be selective.
And so I also do, because, obviously as a business owner, we're carrying the load, right?
Yes.
We're like Wonder Woman or Superman carrying the world on our back, right?
There's a lot of multitasking.
And you can't put it down because it's going to be hard to pick it back up.
Right.
Right? So I've gotten into where I was like, okay, well, look, I need to take a break.
Yes.
So to reset, because I realized that you can either not burn yourself out, but get to a point where I can't really think quickly or make a tough decision the proper way.
Absolutely.
Without enough rest.
I call it a refresh and recharge.
So
absolutely.
Now I started I went back to the days of where I used to listen to jazz.
Yes.
So
I love jazz.
I just put the jazz on and I just
peaceful. And I'm big in essential oils. So those diffusers, making it spa-like and relaxing. That's when my vision, it's just like the dream building and the ideas start flowing.
Yeah.
I don't do well with stress. Stress and toxic is not my thing.
Good, right?
Which is why I'm not big in litigation.
But you know how to manage it, though.
I've learned, yes. I don't think any of us come out the gates with it, but yes, after much studying and prayer and looking and trying and then seeing what works best for me, yes, I figured out where I know what are my triggers and what are my de-stressors.
That's good. With age comes wisdom and beauty.
Awesome.
So let's see here. How important is proper planning sooner than later. Like, how would you said 18, right? Mm-hmm. Where for your probate real
for an estate plan.
Trust,
absolutely.
Yes.
At 18, even before 18, I would start putting, if you have any idea of where you want your life to be. I have 3 children, and each of them are very different. And each of them, of what they consider the best life ever, is completely different. One only wants, he's more of a minimalist and would be just fine if he just lived off the grid and did everything old school, and he could live in a backpack almost, but he just wants freedom. I have another who's very Gucci, very high end,
yeah.
and he needs to be an entrepreneur and be super successful and invent something. And I tease him because he wants all the high class, all the high standards. He wants the VIB treatment if he goes anywhere. So he's going to need a different path and a different set of goals to achieve his dream. And then, so I think, and then my daughter is just she's still figuring herself out. She's 14 at the time, and she has interest in a few different arenas of life and hasn't capped on which one. So it just I just think each person is unique, and you don't have to be like anyone else.
Yes.
And you also, your idea of what truly makes you happy. It could be the Lamborghinis and the private jets and the riches and the fame, or it could be as simple as one debt-free house and a car and the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that.
Yes.
So now with the trust.
Yes.
Like how important is having a trust? And is it important?
A trust is a step further, and I usually always have that conversation. I'll have many clients come to me thinking they want a trust, and we'll go over it, and there's a questionnaire. I have a very detailed questionnaire my paralegal will send all new potential clients before our consultation, and then I will review that, and that gives me some trigger questions to ask them and dig into where they stand, what their goals are, and from there, but one of the key components of it is a trust is private where a will is not. So, and a trust is kind of where you let the court know what you're doing, whereas in a will, you have to petition and ask the court's permission for every act that you're going to want to do. And then another thing is, so a trust will not be recorded with a court when you pass. A will. It'll become matter of public record, and in Brevard, they'll hold on to it for 20 years, and then they destroy it. Oh, wow. So anyone that's bored and has nothing but free time and likes to comb the records, they can see what your will says, but they wouldn't be able to see what your trust says. Another reason for a trust is they'll pass much quickly. So you'll do the trust administration, and they're much quicker and easier and cost effective. So trusts are more expensive, about double up front, but they're less expensive at the end. So it kind of is right. Pay now or pay later. Another thing is the freedom. So they're less expensive later. There's more freedom to do as you wish with them. And then if you own multiple properties, especially if you own properties across state lines, that's when you definitely want to consider a trust, because a trust crosses state lines, a will does not.
That's pretty awesome. That's some great information. And that's the reason why I asked it, because I'm not that familiar with it, mm-hmm. but I remember from some of our conversations that this is the importance of knowing the difference between a will and a trust that you could provide. So you work a lot, mm-hmm. and I know I am
getting better at balancing and squishing that into certain hours of the day, though, so I can spend family and personal time.
That's well, how do you maintain that?
Well, again, I'm big in personal development. That's what gives me energy. So I have to have, so I work, and I love work, and I love my clients, and I want us to be excellent. So I'd really push myself and my paralegals to maintain that excellence. And then, but when work is off, work is off. And from there, like my staff is off every Friday. So technically our office is closed. I'm continuing to work, but my staff does not.
Yeah.
They need a breather and a break. I want them to want to come to work each day. And then when I am done, then I'm done. And then the family gets my full attention, where we can play games, where we do things. And then every once in a while, I love being a loner. So I need everyone to disappear and let me just have my space. I need a good book by the ocean, or I need to binge watch a favorite show. Like, I just need something where it's just for a little bit. And then I have some best friend, girlfriends that we've been friends for years. And every month or 2 months, we get together and do a girls' weekend, and we'll take turns in different cities. And so that is kind of my outlet. Those are the ways that I refresh and recharge.
Nice, mm-hmm. Nice. So Jess, as you're recharging, like, do you come up with any new projects? Like, what are your plans now for the future or projects that you're working on?
Well, right now we're actually opening our second office location. Our office is in Vieira Century, but we're opening a second office as of next week in Satellite Beach.
Congratulations.
And then thank you. And then we do have plans in the works to open a Tampa satellite office in Tampa over the next several months. You'll start seeing signs of activity with that as well. So we've got some things going on outside of law. I also like to own a little rental property, and then I also love to dabble as a voiceover artist and a model.
Nice. Yeah, and you let me hear some of your voiceovers.
Yes.
We're about to use you.
I would love
that. You have a
that.
great voice.
Thanks. I'd love to collaborate on some ideas.
So, look, Jess, it's always a pleasure having you.
Same.
And we could talk forever.
Yes.
But where can everyone find you?
Okay. My website is jessicalynlaw.com. So JessicalYnnlaw.com. And then you are also, if you want to just email the office, it's law@jessicalynlaw.com. Or if you would like to reach me personally, it's jessica@jessicalynlaw.com. And otherwise, our phone number is 321-474-2034. And you're welcome to call or text. Your first voice that you'll hear is one of my paralegals. Her name is Maria, and she would be more than happy to just make you feel warm and welcome and see how we can best serve you.
Great. And then also you can find anyone can find Jess's information on our website as well, onerealstory.com. And if you're listening on the podcast or watching it on YouTube, we'll have her information in the description below. So now to our listeners, thank you for your time and let us know what do you think of our show, and stay tuned. There's more to come with our book series and episodes. If you have any questions or would like to continue to be inspired, you can always find us at onerealstory.com. So remember to subscribe and hit that bell button if you're on YouTube, and if you're on podcast, just subscribe and follow us. But also remember, dreams become goals, and then goals become success. So make sure you keep that in mind, and you will always be successful. Thank you.